Good morning, everyone. My name is Dale Shadbegian. I'm the CEO of Cape and Plymouth Business Magazine, and welcome to another Cape and Plymouth 360, where we look around our community. We ask a poll question on our website, and based on the responses, we kind of get together and just either give advice or talk about what we think it might mean for our community. And today, joining us is Amy Dowd from Coastal Marketing Solutions. Good morning, Amy.
Hi.
And Robin Orbison from Cape Space. How are you doing
Hi.
today, Robin? Cool. Everyone's good today?
Great.
Weather kind of went a little cloudy on us, but that's all right, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I think it'll burn off.
yeah, that's what's been happening. So I'm gonna share my screen here. This week's question, we're just thinking, normally in the summertime in our coastal communities, if you're a year-round business, it might be time to just kind of relax a little bit. Kids are out of school, business seems to lighten up because a lot of the seasonal businesses are focused on what they're doing. So the question was, what answer best describes your work attitude this summer? And the overwhelming response was, business is open or soon to reopen in the next few weeks. I want to hustle. And I kind of expected that. I thought if you're a seasonal business or you're a business that kind of got stalled and now your people are re-engaging, you might not be a little less likely to enjoy the summer as much as you normally would. It might be time to just dial in, and that was the overwhelming response. The second and third option were tie. It was very minimal. Summer's here. I plan to work less on my business and enjoy the weather. Really low response on that. And a low response was my business will not be able to reopen until later this year. So we thought that might be important too, to try to gauge where the business community is right now in June and looking forward to the summer. So Amy, what do you think about this? And maybe what's a tip for people that are reopening and want to hustle? How about that?
Well, I was happy to see this. I was a little worried about what I would see as well. I obviously want to try to, now that businesses are reopened, try to work with more businesses and nonprofits and try to help them as much as possible. But I wasn't sure where people were really standing because, there was a thing that came out from the Cape Cod Commission and from the Cape Cod Chamber, a poll that they had done. And granted, it was done before things started to reopen. So I think that weighed heavily into it, but it was pretty concerning to me to see what those results were because of how much loss that people were expecting. So, now that things have started to reopen and to see this poll, I think this is a good sign. I think not all business on Cape Cod is travel and tourism. However, I will say, as much as I normally might not love seeing traffic at the bridges in the summer months, I was, kind of overjoyed to see that to a certain extent for the businesses on Cape Cod, because I am truly worried about, them being able to make enough to survive this year. Because summer is such a heavy season for them that, they earn the revenue in the summer, and those that do stay open through the year are just doing it, because that's what they want to do and for the locals, but it's not a ton. So if they don't make it in these next, how many weeks, 9 or 10 weeks, they may not. And so I've been concerned about that. With that said, I think it's a good sign. I think that it's a really good sign that people are looking to get back to business. And as far as, how to help them do that, I think it's really important. It was very important during the time that we were, in lockdown sort of, and having to work from home and everything, that people stayed in touch with their clients and their customers. And that continues to be the case because things change, just one of my clients is a couple of retail clients, and one of them has 2 locations. One opened first, and then the next one was ended up opening a couple of weeks later. Originally, it was supposed to be a week later. They couldn't have fitting rooms when they opened. And now that's shifted. I mean, it has to be managed by quote unquote an appointment, but you know, and cleaned in between and things like that. So, but there at least is a fitting room now that people can use. So I think things continue to evolve. People's comfort levels of going out will continue to evolve also. I went out over on Monday evening with a friend of mine to Baxter's for dinner. It was her birthday, so we decided to go there. We sat out on the deck as far out as we could. But it was nice to be outside. It was nice to be, you know, served. It was nice to be, you know, not we cooked dinner. So I think, but as far as that goes, the comfort level when people sat at a table that was close by became a little bit questionable, you know, and then whether we wanted to go walk down Main Street, and I wasn't there yet. I'm like, I drove down Main Street and everything, but I just wasn't there to be. I think I would have been if, you know, my parents are hopefully coming back from Florida in the next month, and I just am kind of still maintaining a certain amount of distance just so that I'm not putting myself at risk and then later them at risk. So, but in terms of keeping in touch with clients and everything and making sure people understand what's going on and giving them a comfort level to be able to, you know, to make their decision whether they want to come in, I think email is highly important. I think social media is very important. I enjoyed your 360 last week. I couldn't be with you.
I know that was a perfect one for you too.
I know it was, but I did want to touch upon that because email is very important. And I think, you know, you and Robin certainly touched on that a lot last week about how important it is, and that people are in fact reading emails, and that you know, email is by no means dead. It's the most popular. It also has best ROI, you know, in terms of per dollar spent and getting responses and revenue from that. For every dollar spent, I think it's $42 that you earn back. So I think it's really important, and I highly encourage people, if they haven't started to do so, reach out to myself or to, you know, to 118 and see how they can help you. You know, I think it's very, very important going forward, because I love that we're open.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know what's going to happen. You can see what's happening around the country as people reopened. Now we're reopening a lot smarter than some places, but we still don't know if there'll be another situation. We're hoping that, you know, we can maintain and not have to close again, but you don't know. So I urge people to get things in place so that if something happens, you know, you have that. And meanwhile, if you do have it, make sure you're staying in touch with everybody.
Yep, good advice. Thank you. Robin, what say you?
So I'm here today at Mashpee Commons. I just put up my Mashpee Commons background, but I'm actually here. I'm not outside, I'm inside. And I can say that judging by Mashpee Commons, it is absolutely clear that people are ready to hustle. This place has been a ghost town for a couple of months. I mean, there hasn't been a day when I couldn't park like right in front of my door. And now I can't. I have to go to one of the far parking lots. The place is packed. Stores are open. Cafe tables are out. People are walking around with, you know, shopping bags. So there's clearly, you know, business owners are ready to be back in business, and the customers are ready to be there for them as well. You know, I do think that I'd like to echo what Amy said. Is I have mixed feelings about it. I'm, on the one hand, of course, we all want to get back to work. But I'm also concerned that, a combination of, the moving into phase two, and then, I think Charlie Baker just put off phase three for another week, but it's an impending phase three. I think that, is causing potentially maybe a little bit of a false sense of security, people feeling like it's safer than it really is, or that the precautions aren't as important as they were. And I also think that we've got a lot of summer people who we love, and we're thrilled to have them, and we need them, and we want their business, and we want their energy. But we hope that, as they're moving here for the summer from more congested areas, that they understand that just because we have lower incidence of the virus on the Cape doesn't mean that the precautions shouldn't be the same as they would be in a city or somewhere else. So I do get a little bit nervous. I have seen crowds of people not distancing and not wearing masks. So I hope that those are isolated incidents and that we're able to manage it. But that aside, of course, we're all itching to get back to work. I think I've made this analogy before, that going through this COVID pandemic, I keep going back to the stages of grief. I don't know how many there are. I always thought there were 4, but I looked it up, and some places say there's 5, 7, whatever. But they all start with the same one, which is denial. Your first instinct is, my God, this can't be happening. And they all end with acceptance. So that's the last one. You finally like, all right, this is it. We got to deal with it. But I think they leave a step out. I think after acceptance, there's another step. There's another phase, which is, just itching to get, back to business, back to work, or back to whatever interests you. And I think that we are clearly all at that stage, and we're seeing a little bit of glimmer of light at the end of this tunnel. And it's exciting and thrilling, and I just feel great about everything. I just hope we all remember that we need to keep our precautions in place so that this momentum keeps going in the right direction.
Well, it's so, besides the magazine, I'm a seasonal business owner also. And in my neck of the woods, and even us, we're encouraging people to stay diligent, right? So we're hustling, especially at the magazine. We've had, let's revisit in September. We've had some of those talks. Let's just kind of cruise to the summer and then think in September. But in a lot of ways, we're hustling. Like our 40 under 40 event was canceled. We're doing a virtual on July 9th. That's unheard of. Who's going to do an event the week after July 4th, right? So we're doing a virtual event. We thought it was important to recognize the folks that work so hard and to honor them. And, there's a lot of things that just can't wait. We're going to do it in the new fashion of how we have to, and that's through Zoom, rather than just kind of passing it off into September. So we're definitely in that top category. There's things we have to do just to keep going. We're going to do it safely. We're hoping people are going to be dialed in. I think of that particular event, people will be dialed in. Our other events will push off to the fall because it just makes sense. But as businesses, we're encouraging our customers to, when they go somewhere, be careful. You can hustle as much as you want, and if we can't work, we can't work, right? So I think in my neck of the woods, I see everyone doing their part. I have restaurants I go to, they're distancing. I haven't seen the crowds that you have. Are they there? Probably. But for the most part, I'm really encouraged. I've been really careful through this process. I'm a high risk, but I see myself doing things, and I'm encouraged. I think for the most part, we can pull it off. Let's see when we get to August what that looks like. But I've got my fingers crossed. I think we can do it.
I think, Dale, you make some really good points in there, and one of them is, you can hustle and be careful at the same time.
Right.
We can find ways to operate our businesses and still be careful. And I think that's the important thing. Look, no one knows where this is going. Some days they say, oh yeah, vaccine could be, by the end of the year. And other times they say it could be years before there's a vaccine. Some days they say the virus is mutating. So you don't know. This situation could be going on for years. And we all got to just find ways to adapt to it. And, and there are ways to adjust your business. And I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying, you flip a switch and boom, all of a sudden you're, converted your whole business to online or whatever. But there are ways to deal with it. And I just think in general, we live in an ever-changing world. And I think the best thing we all can do for ourselves is figure out how to remain agile and be able to, deal with these curves that the globe keeps throwing at us.
Yeah, that's great advice. And that's a great place to end it for this week. As always, thank you very much. Look forward to talking to you next week. Any last thoughts before we go?
Just get out there, enjoy the nice weather. It's been great, and and safely go out. Please wear your masks. It's not a political statement. It's just about being a good person and keeping yourself and others safe. So, and go out and enjoy Cape Cod as much as you feel comfortable doing and doing it safely.
In Plymouth.
Well said, Amy. And I'll throw out this list. Try to buy local. All the local businesses are struggling, and I don't know about your experience, but my experience has been that our local businesses here, the ones that I use that are vendors for me, have been wonderful. I have done my best to work with my clients who were unable to make payments or, continue their memberships through this process. And my local vendors have been terrific with me, helping me through the decisions I had to make and, adjusting contracts for me. Not true of the national vendors for the most part. So there's more reason than ever to buy local. Thank you, Cape Cod vendors.
Wholeheartedly concur with that. I mean, local vendors have been phenomenal, and they've adapted as quickly as I think anybody could have imagined to this situation. In some respects, even more so than the nationals. And I wholeheartedly agree. Get out there, shop local, eat local, support your local businesses.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, with that said, thanks for watching, everyone. And Robin and Amy, have a great week if I don't talk to you.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.